All right, thanks for coming. My name is David. I've pushed sales on Amazon. I represent a few brands on Amazon, but that's not what today is about. It will be about what people like me were hoping would happen, and that is that there will be marketplaces here, which probably applies to only a few of us. Most of you will prefer to send them back where they came from, and I will try to give you an idea of what it could look like. Yeah, what might happen in the coming years, and where we might disagree, we can have a heated argument downstairs over coffee. The reason I'm here is this. This is the proportion of how much they could possibly, and please take this with a grain of salt, how much marketplaces could possibly constitute in Czech e-commerce. I started in the year 2017 when it was basically zero. At most, you might have bought a cheap phone case from AliExpress. In the year 2020, it was still very little, but one important thing happened. Alzeo decided it would be like Amazon, and Emol also decided to be like Amazon. Basically, the biggest Czech players went into the platform business, will be in more countries, more sellers, and so on. Emol became the food, and Alzer in 2 years said, it's not for us. We would harm ourselves wanting to become a platform. We are good in delivery. So let's say it's 15 to 20%. I'm not arguing with anyone whether that's exact. It doesn't really matter. It's no surprise that it is. But who is it from? We thought it would be the Alzas that would be the Amazons in the Czech Republic, and it's not the case. A small part are, let's say, in a Western style, marketplaces where the world still operates under some sort of rules. Whether it's Allegro, which has a branch here, or Amazon, which is the 19th or 20th largest shop here, by the way. Czechs who shop on Amazon. Well, of course, the majority are these Chinese guys who are very popular among e-commerce people. So it's no surprise that it's happening. But who is it happening from? Where will it go next? You might expect that I would now draw the curve and say, platforms will be 50% in a few years. That's probably not going to happen. That's nonsense.
For the platform to succeed, we need a few things. But how far can it go?
In Europe, it's about half. In Europe, the platform businesses, marketplaces, make up about half of what Europeans purchase. However, when we want to be honest, well, it's not really half, because half of Europeans buy from DTC, just direct-to-customer, e-shops, web stores, me or you.
Keep hanging on.
However, that marketplace half is actually divided into two roughly equally sized parts. What those marketplaces sell themselves, vendor, and what truly is the platform, what you or my clients sell through Amazon. Of course, these platforms grow much more on third parties. Logically, they want to sell you advertising and fees and not shovel boxes, but the business complements quite a bit. So, to be completely honest, it's not actually 50, but 25% in Europe, which is still a lot. You can see that the Czech Republic isn't, that somewhere within this framework, the Czech Republic might just end up. For the platform to be successful, it fundamentally needs to have four things. So anyone, any other, and it can be trendy, or it can actually be anything new, needs to have four things. It must have extremely cheap products. It must have a large selection of goods. It must be able to deliver quickly. And it must have some trust, brand, certainty, security, call it what you want. It's about whether you buy a branded item on Shein or on Alza.
You don't have to answer, it's probably clear. When a platform comes, like any that came to the Czech Republic, it goes this way.
It's a lot, it's cheap. We simply aggregate the offer into one. And Alza said, we will be here. And any platform that comes in and does this, we have a lot of it, and it's extremely cheap, great. But if you can't deliver it quickly, and there are problems with people, you have more sellers logically, then you have a problem. And Alza said, we will be this. And there is one company that managed to succeed in all four of those quadrants. They simply managed to be big, cheap, fast, and still be trusted. And that is, of course, Amazon. But the boundaries of Amazon end roughly somewhere around Rozvadov. Then it is essentially no man's land in quotes. And now the question is who, and if anyone, will be the Amazon in the East.
There are many aspirants. I haven't even listed them all here, but you surely recognize them.
But I think there won't be anyone that is just so far along that there won't be any Amazon of the East, that it will be more or less a fragmented market. Allegro probably has the most capital and the biggest drive for it, but essentially that part of Central and Eastern Europe is very fragmented with a large number of smaller, locally strong players which is great for us or for you as a seller. I'm helping one brand in America. They have their own store on Shopify, and then we do Amazon, and then we stopped. Now, things like Walmart, Target are so small that it's simply not worth it for us to deal with. In Europe, you still have relatively many options. However, these platforms are also competing among themselves to see who will be the next cross-border giant, because local overall e-commerce will grow, let's say 6%. In Czechia, it will be 6%. In Germany, 2% overall. But when you look at just the cross-border sale, in which these platforms are extremely strong, that is by a third. So the growth is really in the cross-border. Europe is actually growing only by what you buy from Poland, Germany, or even China. The local markets are at their capacity, and in some categories, they are smaller. And for this, these platforms are ideal. It's like a tanker versus some small boat. In the bay, the boat is better. On the open sea, in the big region, the platform is somewhat better. That's how sales could look. I'll concede to you, sales, how much the platforms sell to Europeans. And of course, it looks extremely crushing compared to everyone else, but that Amazon, that is the result of that cross. They simply manage everything in more countries, in almost all categories. And all the others here, so either they have all categories in one country, or one category in multiple countries, which is more or less Zalando. Managed a bit. Others are, we do everything, but actually only in one country. Max, now we are expanding further, but the others are small. In my opinion, there won't be a trend like in the Czech Republic, where Amazon will take over everything. That's nonsense. But what's actually happening is that the big players in any segment are actually becoming platforms in a way. If you look to the West and consider the top 3 in any category, in any country, they're all implementing something from the marketplace world. They're taking the best from those platforms. They know they won't sell everything, but they will be something in between.
So the analogy, endomorph, mesomorph, and ectomorph.
These individual shops are those agile guys who...
As an acquaintance?
They do not know the customer very well, but they do not have the mass. The big ones have the mass, but do not know the customer well. And all the big retailers in between are actually somewhere in the middle and take the best from both worlds. They can be very horizontal, can go deep into the niche within the category, servicing those customers with additional services that the big ones will never do. So imagine, and I will make up an example now, you come to some sport that is essentially a marketplace. It also has stores. It will lend you a bike. It will service your skis. I am selling a super professional bicycle for 100,000. You just won't go buy that on Amazon, nor will you get the service, but they still have the range. Here's an example of such a category from sports. You surely know these big guys who sell everything, and those cycling gloves can probably be sold to you by anyone because it's a commodity. You won't go there to buy that racing bicycle. For that, you go to the specialists. All of them have some form of platform. Maybe it's closed. Maybe they just switched their B2B partners to the marketplace world. It's not an open market like you're familiar with Allegro, but they implement something. So what I think you can expect is that all the big players in any category in the Czech Republic, Weltino, Sportissimo, all those, if they are not doing it yet, they will take something from the platform world. So the fact that everyone will be a marketplace, it will only be a few of the big ones who will know how to really do the marketplace. The rest will take the best from that world and implement it. Well, and still for those, let's say, local sellers, and here someone might not like me, but in the Czech Republic, these platforms don't make much sense. They make sense abroad. Their enormous strength lies in expansion, where you can really go somewhere cheaply. As if you had to vote on whether you would prefer the world of year 2018, where there were no platforms, or the world of year 24, where there are too many. I assume almost all of you e-commerce folks would choose the earlier world and would rather run it without them and draw people to your own shop. So it makes the most sense abroad, where it saves you money, it's faster, and so on. Here, I simply don't know any seller who would say that they became extremely rich from Czech marketplaces. But I know a few who are very rich from outside, where the savings can really be. And if you decide that it's not for you, which I understand why you would, I very much understand why you would want to ignore the marketplace. So to the customer, it basically doesn't matter what it's called, but be aware of one thing. This was shown, in my opinion, right here a year or two ago by David Antosh from BCG. This is research he did in the West, so it's heavily skewed by Amazon. But the customer said what is on the left side for them, what is important to them when shopping online, and where. And here you can see that people said the orange line e-commerce, meaning the shops, that actually on those individual web stores, on those brands, they go for loyalty programs, for customer communication with the customer, and for premium high-priced products. And this is something the big boys, here the thick ones, they will never have
The fickle strength of those individuals.
sellers who can. So when you decide, I just don't want to do this business, I want to do it for everyone through Swiss Shop, okay, but do this. Because in the rest of you can never win that. Of course, I say again, it's the West, meaning attractive delivery is defined by Amazon Prime. Here in the Czech Republic, it might be a bit different. There's nothing like that. Or Alza has its own, but it distorts things a bit. So what I actually wanted to say, I wanted to say that local markets are not growing much. In some categories, they are declining. And the cross-border is really about platforms. It's a business that thrives better the bigger the field is. Look at America, China. In Europe, we have a problem because each country is just a little different. And you cross the border here into Hungary, and it's just a different world. Those local platforms are still really weak, and I don't see much reason why you, as a big brand, let's say, if you're a big brand, I don't see much reason why you would do it, because you know the customer, and you know how to work with them. But when you go outside, it actually makes extreme sense. What you will see is that the big players in each sector, who have stores, who have a history, who have a large customer base, who have a big name, will implement something from these platforms and will try to be not the Amazon, but the category specialist in their particular niche. And the one who did it all completely, of course, is Amazon. A week ago, financial results showed twice the profit in a year. Incredible. If you're interested, take a look at it. All right, I am David. I occasionally write on LinkedIn. Similar stories, sometimes funny, sometimes I know less funny. I'll leave that up to you. You can follow me. If anyone has any questions, here is my contact. You guessed what my favorite fruit is. And we still have 5 minutes that I reserved for you. So if you have something, any questions, we'll pass you the microphone and you can ask. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it a little. Honza was first, but will you let a lady through here? Yes, okay.
Thanks a lot for that input. It was great. I want to ask about the difference because here it was probably a lot about physical goods, some insight into service marketplaces abroad, what's happening there, how to perhaps take that into account.
I probably don't have insight into the services, honestly, but I would say it happens the same way. I think Tomáš from Slovomat is here, so he would probably know more about it. Commodity marketplaces sometimes try to enter services, but it's not really working for anyone. It doesn't succeed. Amazon once, years ago, wanted to sell vacation trips. It didn't work out at all. Banking services didn't work. I think it's a game for booking and moments like these, but I admit I really don't have insight into it. But I'd say the trend will be similar.
Yeah. Thank you for the lecture. It was great. I am interested in how you see the market structure in the Czech Republic in 5 years.
What will the market structure look like?
What will the distribution be?
Eureka will, of course, be the biggest.
Well, I thought
again,
that
Eureka
too,
has
so
that
thank
lecture
you.
in
You
about
were
an
good.
hour. So do come. But again, it will always be the biggest because this fast delivery and the name will win. Then there will be Allegro because they will invest in it. We talked about it here. They will invest in it so much that they will just make it through those bumps at the start. and we can think whatever we want about it, but they will make it. Then a whole lot of those categorical players, Notino, Dr. Max, Rolik, simply within their category, the mesomorphs, the musclemen, well, and all the others will have it harder and harder because keeping up with these people will become increasingly complicated. And even though there are reports that there are many shops, in reality, the business is done by fewer and fewer. And then there will be some Chinese who will keep selling you cheap goods without tax and duty until someone perhaps puts a stop to it. So it will probably continue to work for a part of the market. You have some limited potential, but it will still be a big business. How should smaller profiles be? I'm just repeating it for the record.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, when you're talking about the big ones sweeping everything away because they have the money, they have the power, and they are essentially creating that pressure. So then, as a budding entrepreneur creating my own e-commerce platform, how should I differentiate myself? Should I build it on a story, a brand, or probably not on services, right? Since I'll be using third parties anyway.
What I think works abroad is the community of people. Marketplaces are just a bit sterile. They can't do it. I don't know if you know Angry Beards, the brand that makes cosmetics. My favorite brand, totally incorrect. They are even on Amazon. It's boring. It doesn't have the flair that their communication has. And you simply can't replicate that on the platform. That just doesn't allow you to say what they actually say. And when you go to that shop, you'll have a good laugh. And I really like it, and I shop there because I enjoy how they do it. And I think that's it. The community of people, price, delivery, that won't work anymore. How much does it do here?
Thank you. I asked, do you really not expect Amazon to enter the Czech market?
Not now. They just opened Ireland a few weeks ago. The way they are doing it in Europe now is that they are the 19th largest shop according to TechCrunch, meaning the cohort we purchased from Amazon is actually equal to the 19th largest shop. And that's simply through a global brand, through Amazon Prime Video, which is in Czech, and now increasing in price from 70 to 130 crowns. So it still costs very little. They are the largest cloud provider in the Czech Republic, AWS. They are the largest gaming streaming platform of Twitch, Amazon, and it is the biggest here. They have strength in other verticals, and e-commerce is the last thing they will do here. In my opinion, they are going into countries like Ireland, where they can see exactly how many customers they have, and it's for them, quote unquote, a very cheap expansion. And it's the last thing they expand with. What can happen, for instance, is that we have Prime Amazon in 3 out of 4 countries around us, in Austria, Germany, and Poland, and those trucks really drive here. That means for them, if the warehouse is in Gliwice and I order it to Gdansk, it's a bigger cost than delivering it to Prague. What might happen is that they will say, yes, okay, Amazon Prime Germany, if you pay 10 euros a month, it applies to Czechs as well. That will be another entry, but I don't think they would come with that ensemble. Just like in the Netherlands, in Sweden, in Poland, they are not growing by burning bridges at any cost. They grow more or less organically focused on profit because they won't push against Allegro in Poland. Why? They do 10% of Allegro there, but with a relatively good profit. So if they ever come, it'll be such a logical step, and it'll be a sort of soft launch, I think. And maybe you'll tell me I was completely wrong in a few years, but I don't think any pompous expansion makes sense. It's a small market, small purchasing power, too many strong players. I think they have other ones as well.